Hey guys, my name is Gloria and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do another tag. Wasn't tagged in this myself, just felt like doing it. It is the Spoopy Horror Book Tag and it was created by Book Tag You're It on Twitter, who I think just are a person that wants to put together tags for booktubers to do, so thank you for the content ideas. But I first saw this on Harpies in the Trees channel, so you should check out her video down below. And check out the Twitter account for Book Tag You're It as well. This was a difficult tag to do, if I'm honest, and it really brought to light where the gaps in my reading are and what I need to be reading in the future. I think a few people have been sort of confused about the word spoopy. I know a lot of people don't like it. I've sort of, it's not a typo, I sort of think of it as like spooky cute. So it's kind of my aesthetic a lot of the time. So Squish here, he's kind of spooky cute. Also my little Baphomet demon knitted strawberry guy that I have, who smells divine. You know, he could obviously kill you because he's Baphomet, but he's adorable. So that's how I interpret spooky cute. So this tag has 13 questions, and they're quite difficult to answer, to be honest with you. So the first question is, the first question is a book that scared you while you were actively reading the words on the page. There's been a couple of these recently, but one that I'm actually still reading at this very moment, I have about 40 pages to go I think, is Come Closer by Sarah Gran, and it is about a woman who is coming to realize that she is possessed by a demon, and just some of the scenes in this, some of the happenings are chilling and weird, and I was gonna say I'm a demon for a possession story. That's a weird thing to say, but I love possession stories. I love any kind of demons, and as you can see, and there were just some really great scenes in this that really freaked me out, and so I've got 40 pages to go. I could still get freaked out by this. Question number 2 is a book that you didn't find scary while reading it, but after you had time to think about it and sit with it, you became frightened, scared, or creeped out. So for this I actually picked a true crime book, and it's called Missing Presumed by Alan Bailey. This one freaked me out because being interested in true crime for the last few years and stuff, I've always sort of wondered, has there ever been a serial killer in Ireland? We're so tiny, I don't think it would really work because people would know, people would always know. But it turns out that there is a particular triangle that currently involves where I'm living right now in Dublin, and there have been numerous women. There are 6 women in this book in particular that Alan Bailey is talking about. He was an officer in a special team that was charged to look into their deaths, and a few of them were never recovered. They just went missing, and yeah, it creeps me out to this day because it's right outside, it's right here. I know the streets that they went missing on. I know where everything happened, and one of the main suspects is still out there walking about. He was released, and colleagues from work have seen him in Dublin, and it's just, he did horrific things, and yeah, it's just scary to think. And also their ages and their appearances and stuff aren't too far from mine, and their whereabouts before they were killed and stuff isn't too far from mine, so it's always in the back of my mind when you think you're in tiny little Ireland where nothing bad happens. It does, and it could be you, so that's a little too close for comfort and still freaks me out. Question number 3 is a book that was so creepy that you still think about a scene from it years later. Years later. For this one I chose The Haunting of Hill House. a fantastic book. I could have picked it for so many of the other questions in this. So well written, absolutely love it. Just realised I don't have a physical copy because I think I read the ebook for it, so I need to get like a special fancy copy of that. The scene in particular is when Eleanor is in bed and there's stuff happening outside her bedroom, and she thinks that she's holding Theo's hand, and she can feel a hand in her squeezing her back, and then she realises that Theo is across the room and there's nothing in her hand anymore, and whose hand was she holding? And that one still creeps me out. I think it was really well written and it just freaks me out a bit. Question number 4, book you didn't finish because it was too creepy or too gory. I'm yet to see a booktuber who's actually answered this because that's kind of what we're in it for. I don't DNF books. I don't even DNF books when I should, when they're terrible and I hate them and I'm wasting my life with them. I don't do it. The only time that I would actually DNF a book is if it was really gratuitous, unnecessary, horrible sexual abuse. That's the only time I would ever do it. But if there's gore or scares that actually serve the story, and they aren't just ridiculous. If I'm really uncomfortable, I might skip a paragraph or something if I don't want to know very specific details, but no, I've never not finished a book because of gore or creep factor. Question number 5 is the scariest, creepiest book you've read based on a cult or group of people with sinister values or goals. For this one I picked this little novella, Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. This is the story of Phil, who goes to a Walmart in America to buy some sweets for his girlfriend, and he sees a kid in the aisles eating loads of sour candy, and there's a woman there who appears to be his mother, but she doesn't look right, and he tries to leave. He ends up running into their car with his, and then the kid is suddenly his. The police believe it's his girlfriend's gone, everyone thinks this kid is his. He's adamant he has never had a kid, but the kid's there, and that's one of my actual nightmares, is having to look after a kid that isn't mine, that no one else can look after. That's a genuine nightmare, a recurring nightmare that I have all the time, so freak me out. I don't want to give away the ending or anything, but the kid is there, and it because of a group that is using Phil for a particular reason, and it is really creepy. It's really kind of messed up, and it really messes with your head, so pick that for that one. 6 is a horror story in an otherworldly location. For this I picked a story that I was asked to review for my blog. It's called Urban Gothic by Stephen M. Coughlin, and it is a story based on a military vet in America who runs into a strange woman who pulls him into a dream landscape where terrible things are happening. There's a horrible overlord who is messing with people. It's in sort of a parallel universe where everyone in our world has a dream person, not unlike Us, the Jordan Peele kind of movie, but yeah, it's more, there are a lot of horror elements to it. It is sort of fantasy as well, and it's sort of a hero damsel in distress one, but it's definitely in another world. 7, a book where the main character or characters have to be or do something horrific in order to do what they deem as right or necessary. For this one I picked a book that I don't think it's marketed as a horror. I mean, they're scared to market books as horror these days, but I mean, look at it. This is spoopy. It's Perfectly Preventable Deaths by Deirdre Sullivan. the tale of two twin sisters who move to their new stepfather's literal castle in Galway, and strange things are happening, and the older woman who lives with him, I'm not sure if it's his mother or his grandmother, is quite witchy, and one of the sisters near the end, it's not even the most incredible thing, but it was just shocking, and I just wasn't expecting it, especially from sort of a YA novel with these two teenage girls. I wasn't expecting Deirdre Sullivan to go as hard as she did, but she went there, and I'm so glad she did. It was such a visceral shock for me, and our poor character poor Maddie has to do some things to try and save her sister that are unsavory, and she proves that she's willing to do anything for her sister, so this is a great book. Question number 8. Question number 8 is your favourite book that takes place in the summer. There's quite a few summery books, but I'm gonna have to say the same book that Alex from Halo Thrifter did, because I just recently read this and I really liked it. Burnt Offerings by Robert Marasco, and this actually came out before Stephen King's The Shining. I don't think The Shining was based on it. They were quite close together, so I'm sure The Shining was being written while this was being published, but there are quite a lot of similarities. There's a family, husband, wife, husband's a teacher, they have a young son, and they go to this house in the countryside for a while just to get away, and the house starts to work on the family. There are quite a lot of similarities. I really liked it, and it is set in the summer. They're going there for like a summer holiday, and it's very bright and warm, and that just adds to the sinister and malicious nature of the story, and I really liked it, and I'm glad Alex agrees. The next question is question number 9. A horror book that felt like you were actually watching or reading the script for a classic horror movie. I'm not sure if classic horror movie, I'm not sure if they meant like sort of old-fashioned classic or just a good horror movie, but I'm gonna pick Remains by Andrew Cull. This is a fantastic book. Unsurprisingly, Andrew Cull is actually a director himself, but it's very well written, and it doesn't lean too heavily on just visuals. It is definitely a book, but you could so easily see this being a movie. There are some great scenes in this that I could definitely see on a screen, and that would definitely creep me out, so I think this would be a great movie. I would definitely watch this. Question number 10. Question number 10 is a horror book that's not scared to utilize modern technology. This one, I got this in a Portable Magic Books subscription box. Sorry, I just noticed the pages are damaged because I accidentally shotgunned a can of Coke in my handbag. Whoops. So this is Beast by Matt Wesolowski. It is written like the script for a podcast, and each of the 6 chapters are like a podcast episode. The main character at the center of the story is a YouTuber, and there's a lot of talk of phones and social media, and it's definitely a modern kind of eerie story, and it definitely doesn't shy away from the old terrible usernames and the tech speak and the YouTube comments and whatnot, so that was an interesting read. 11. A horror book that was written before the year 2000 that you felt was ahead of its time. So this is one of the most difficult questions, because I don't really feel like I've read that many books before that. In the past couple of years that I've really been getting into horror fiction, I've been reading the new books. I want to support the new authors and the authors who need supporting right now. Other than the classic Stephen Kings that I've read, I don't really know of any others that I've read, except for the the few that I obviously studied in English literature. In saying that, so I think I don't really have an answer for this because I haven't read enough before 2000 in order to say that something was before its time. They all sort of merge a little bit together, and especially because horror tries to stay away so much from technology and stuff, even books that are written today, because a lot of them deal with isolation and whatnot, you can't really place them in time very specifically. So unfortunately I can't answer this question, but if anyone has any recommendations that they think that I would like, please leave them down below. Well, a book that you feel greatly changed or influenced the horror genre for years to come. Unsurprisingly, I've gone with an Irish writer, and that would be Dracula by Bram Stoker. Indisputably the royal king or queen of vampire novels. It came up with, I mean, Dracula. What more do I need to say? It actually changed vampire lore. It probably brought a lot of tourists to Transylvania, to be honest with you, and I think every vampire novel since then has in some part taken something from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Spawned a hell of a lot of movies, hell of a lot of plays and whatnot. Unfortunately, it wasn't super popular whenever it came out. This is something you learn a lot about whenever you're studying old books in college, that a lot of the writers that we think are so monumental today actually died in poverty because their books were seen as just sort of frivolous entertainment, and now we recognize them as actually changing literature. So Dracula by Bram Stoker definitely had an effect on horror literature. The last question is question number 13. A horror book that is so unique that you've yet to come across anything like it. So for the last question, for good or for ill, the most unique one I would have to say would be House of Leaves, which I recently gave away because I'm not going to read it again. I definitely don't regret reading it. It's very interesting. I have a vlog up here if you want to see my progress in trying to get through that book. Very different, very pushing the envelope, very experimental, and that's great. I just didn't enjoy all of the different layers of the book, but it's definitely unique, and I'm sure it will spawn a lot of other branches of horror in the future. So that is my spoopy horror book tag. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you disagree with me, kindly, and let me know if you have any recommendations for any of these questions for me, because I definitely need to read more horror from before 2000. I need to read the sort of the books that everyone seems to have read. I definitely want to read Rosemary's Baby, because for the question about cults, that's all I could think, but I've only seen the movie. I haven't actually seen or read the book, and in that way I can enjoy something that isn't related to Roman Polanski. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this spooky season. I hope you have plenty of spooky things to enjoy, and I shall see you in the next video.